All right. I know you all saw the clip of Corey Holcomb and Anton Daniels getting into it on a podcast that they were doing. Now, I and some people watching know that I have done a lot not to get offended by people. But apparently, Corey Holcomb got very offended when Anton Daniels called him a dick sucker. And I mean, growing up, those was fighting words to me. So, as an adult, I hope I changed, but nobody's called me a dick sucker. So, wait, is those fighting words? Because Corey Holcomb looked like he wanted to go to blows with Anton Daniels.
Yeah, those some real strong fighting words right there. If someone call you a dick sucker, man, I mean, nobody wants to be known as a dick sucker. You know, it's crazy to say, man, but yeah, those are some strong words, and I see why Corey switched seats with his co-host and want to have a one-on-one with Antoine to make sure he doesn't say that again. So maybe Jason give us a little bit more context on the situation, but for me, yeah, those definitely fighting words.
Yeah, I mean, were you shocked to see this? Jason Corey Holcomb is a comedian, but he was looking real tough in that video, and it didn't look like he really wanted to, step outside with Anton Daniels.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that it didn't come to blows. I think two black men fighting that on the internet, that does no good for anybody. You know what I'm saying? And I think it would go contrary to what Corey Holcomb was trying to say about Anton Daniels and about, hey, why don't you ever stick up for black people? Why do you always attack black people? So it wouldn't work if he's actually there attacking a black man. But like y'all said, I agree. There's certain words you don't say to a black man. Calling them a D sucker or saying suck my D is just, there's all kinds of things you could say. That's something that you just don't say. And everybody knows that. Maybe white dudes can, I don't know how white dudes get down, but maybe they'll be able to overlook that. But I don't know a black man living, you know what I'm saying, that would let that slide without some sort of confrontation. Maybe not a fight, but certainly a confrontation if you're going to say that about somebody. And I feel like in that setting, they both were kind of just, it went off the rails. But I agree with what Corey Holcomb was saying in the sense that Anton Daniels has all of this smoke for black people. You know what I mean? Now, I don't think Corey Holcomb was necessarily prepared for the half truths and the things that someone like Anton Daniels does, which is take things out of context and all of that. Corey Holcomb wasn't really prepared for that. I'm prepared for that because I literally do that every day for a living, is deal with people who do that. So Anton Daniels, you have a standing invitation to come on the show. We would love to have you. And we would love to debate some of the things that you say. But, Corey Holcomb was a little unprepared. There's a part in the interview where Corey Holcomb says, my people were kidnapped from Africa. And Anton Daniels answers, no, they were sold by other Africans. Now, that's true, but it leaves a lot of context out. You know what I mean? And you have to be knowledgeable about those things in order to actually counter that. And I don't think Corey Holcomb was ready for that. So, it went off the rails, and I'm just glad that two black men didn't end up throwing blows, you know what I'm saying, on camera for the internet to get riled up when we got freaking ICE out in the streets and all kinds of craziness going on. We're now focusing on two black men going after each other.
I appreciate you keeping the peace, Jason. And it didn't come to blows, I don't think, but it was very intense if anybody hasn't seen the clip.
Yo, how does Anton Daniels afford security? You know what I'm saying? He ain't no star. Yeah, he has. Well, according to Corey Holcomb, He's like, yo, you got your security guard and your girl and all of that.
Yeah, we'll post a clip on our Instagram page for everybody to see if they missed it.
Yeah,
right.
I was
I'm
kind of
like, yo,
surprised that. I
you
mean,
got
I
security?
understand getting upset at Anton Daniels, but I was kind of surprised to see Corey Holcomb turn up like that because I've only seen him on Comic View and Wildin' Out, and I know that would make anybody upset, but it was pretty intense. He looked like he was like you know about to call a gangbang, not not a gangbang, but a gang of people to come and bang him out.
Yeah, I feel like he I feel like he didn't bring him on the show as something like he really
Wow.
have a confrontation.
My bad. Go ahead, Wade.
I don't know what Bobby thinking about. Bobby ready to end this show. What got going on in the background called gangbang.
Bobby said, have a gang of people come and bang him out. Wow.
Nah.
Come to blows, man. You know what I mean? It's not getting any better.
Like,
Never mind.
Now you talking about blowing out.
I think Corey invited him to the show with intent for a confrontation. I don't think it was like a friendly, like, let me bring him up on the show. I feel like he wanted to get something off his chest during that interview, and I think he did.
Yeah, well, I mean that's okay. I mean, I hope we can have some interviews at some point where it's not always just us giving high fives. I think a little bit of I don't want to say acrimony, but a certain amount of tension in an interview, I think makes for a good interview. Like it shouldn't always be, as someone who's in the press, like and deals with those kinds of interviews. My favorite kind of interviews are when people interview me and they push back, but they do it respectfully. You know what I mean? Like there's people that jump out the window and it's like, you want to knock them out, but there's other people that push back respectfully and with some substance. I think that's good. And if he was like, yo, I want to interview this guy and push back on what he says about black people because I feel like as a black man, I need to defend black people, I'd say that's great. I just wish that he had brought, bring on Mark Lamont Hill, who also has an issue with Anton Daniels, apparently. Bring on Mark Lamont Hill and have him debate Anton Daniels. Mark Lamont Hill would have done it. You know what I mean? Call somebody who actually is a little more prepared for that so that it doesn't just go down this rabbit hole where you look bad because you about to put hands on somebody.
Yeah. I think it was the way they were talking to each other too. I mean, if they weren't cursing at each other, and I think the context and the wording of what they were saying to each other is what got everything riled up, because I think Anton Daniels got riled up when Corey Holcomb was telling him he was ass kissing. Like it was just the wording of things that kind of got everything out of control, and angers and tempers got flared.
Yeah, you got to watch how you talk to people. You know what I'm saying? You can definitely aggressively push back on somebody without using ad hominem, calling people dick suckers, do all of that. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I understand. Like Bobby, I feel like, I'm mature enough to not fight under those circumstances, but I understand, why somebody might, what I'm saying, take it to that level, because you're challenging somebody's actual manhood when you're calling them a D sucker.
Yeah, it's disrespectful. I mean,
yeah,
a lot of men. I mean, just like T.I. said, I don't know what you do for your respect, but I'll die for mine. That's what some men feel.
It wasn't on camera. It would have been different if it wasn't on camera. I think if it wasn't on cameras there, I think it would have got a little physical.
I think at the same time, like, while I understand that mentality when T.I. said it in that rhyme, which ASAP, I love that song. The one thing I would say is you can't always seek respect from people you don't respect, if that makes any sense. Like, if I don't respect you, then why do I care whether you respect me? You know what I'm saying? Like, your disrespect means a whole lot less because you're not a respectable person. You know, now if you're somebody that I respect and then you disrespect me, then I'll be like, you know, whoa, bro, you disrespected me and I don't appreciate that. But if you're somebody that I hold in such little regard and you say stuff, it's like May said, who is this nigga? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, yo, I never respected you. Who is this dude?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, I think a lot of brothers would not be sitting in jail cells, would not have charges on their record if they realize why give importance to somebody's words that you don't respect to begin with. Now if one of y'all who I respect were like, yo, Jason's a dick sucker, you know what I'm saying, I'd be like, yo, like, I'd be real upset about that because y'all are guys that I hold in a certain esteem and regard. You know what I'm saying?
Understand.
Y'all act like y'all be saying that. So what's up? You know what I'm saying? Like, am I missing something?
No, it's just the way you went to the side and whispered it like that. Like,
yeah. Well, I'm assuming you wouldn't say it like all up in my face, because then you like,
or we just wouldn't say it at all. But either way,
Right. But I'm saying I hold y'all in a certain regard that it would be meaningful for me. If like I won't like somebody, there's people that I work with that I don't, always get along with. If I heard, yo, so and so said you were a D sucker, I'd be like, man, F that guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, who cares? Like I would just go to work and do my job. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't even stress it.
It's also different when someone says it to your face, though.
Like, that's true. That is true. Yeah, it's a good point.
Yeah. So,
yeah, but saying it behind your back is weak too. Like
that is weak, and that's probably why you wouldn't respect it. But if somebody says it in your face, you're kind of like, yo, you can't be up in my face talking like that.
No, that's a good point. I will concede that point.
Yeah.
But still, like, I feel like there's a lot of guys, Anton Daniels, when he said it, he clearly wasn't looking for a fight. And so to me, it's like there's a lot of guys sitting in jail over some respect while your kids are getting raised by a single mom because you couldn't take disrespect for 1 second. You know what I'm saying? And in those situations, in most cases, not in this one, but in those situations, it's usually somebody who has a whole lot of nothing to lose. You know what I'm saying? It's some clown who lives with his moms. And you're going to be sitting there like, oh, no, he can't disrespect me. Like, it's like, who is this dude? You know
That's
what I mean?
Like the true meaning of stooping down to somebody's level.
Right. You don't have to get involved. Or what is the old saying? Like, you don't have to attend every fight you're invited to or whatever the saying is. You know what I'm saying? And, the other saying, of course, is don't argue with fools because from a distance, you can't tell who's who. So.
Yeah. Well, if they do decide to fight, hopefully they do it in a professional way. We can see them in the ring.
Oh, man, that would
everybody
be
wants to see these
sure that
celebrity
would be
fights now.
The worst thing ever.
Everybody wants to see these celebrity fights now, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.